Okay, I think the ping finally worked. So hello everyone. I guess we can start, and if there's anything, please ping me somewhere outside of this chat because I cannot see it. Let's do this. Come on. Okay. I hope this works. If it doesn't, please let me know. Anyways, hello everyone. My name is Hannah, and today I will be telling you about the Clancy tour and the beginning of the Breach era. So, I guess before we start, some important things to mention. I know some of you have been to listening parties and know some more about the upcoming songs and about the lore and other stuff. I would really like to ask you to not talk about that in the chat and not make jokes about, oh, we don't know yet or anything like that, because there's a lot of people, including me, who have no idea how the lore ends and what's in the new songs. So please do not spoil it for others. And also, there'll be no spoilers here because I have no idea about them. I have not looked at any. I currently cannot see the chat, so if you have any questions, please ask those at the end. And there'll be no quiz today, but you should still pay attention. Anyways, let's start. This is where we left off last week. So we left off at the Paladin Strait music video. And after that, we had a little bit of time off before the tour started, before the Clancy tour started. And what was interesting about the tour is that we had the fan premiere exhibit, the FPE exhibit, yet another FPE. And the FPE exhibit, if you're not familiar with it, it was a lot of different things from the band's history, different old outfits, old records, lyrics, stuff like that displayed. And at the end, there was a Bandito camp. So it was set up as the Bandito camp, and at every show, at every FP exhibit, there was a new piece of a letter hidden somewhere in the Bandito camp. And I think it would be really interesting to go through some of those letters. And I picked some that I feel like might have some more important implications for the lore, or might be interesting to see. And as you can see, these are all pieces of letters, so not complete letters. So throughout the tour and throughout the exhibits, we always had to figure out what letter went with which one and kind of tape them together and figure out what's going on. First one. This one is from Carta to Pierre. Pierre. Please do not make fun of me. I don't know how to pronounce any of these. Half of them are made up anyways, but I'll just try my best. Dear Carta, if you only knew how long I've spent washing my hands, you would know how embarrassed I am. They don't want anyone to know what we do down here. There are even laws written about what we inhale and how deeply our skin gets stained. But you must be the baker, the sleuth? Oh, I am just skipping that word. Who found me out? You're right. It's an odd daily rituals down in the cellar. Manipulating fire and elements to craft a monument for the latest glory is gone. I can tell you that after this many years down here, the glory has indeed faded. It's only sadness. There was a time where I believed it was truth, but that time passed, and only stains remain. I want to teach you what I know. Even more, I want to teach you how I believe we can break the cycle. Yours, Pierre. I think this one is interesting in multiple reasons. It gives us some background about what is going on in Dima and people who work there. And also, this is another mention of how we can break the cycle, which seems to be a theme going on in lore for quite a while now. Next one. Dear Arya, guilty as charged. I feel it too, and I do see the fire in your artwork. It caused me to detect a like-minded rebellion in you. It stirred something in me, a feeling that has been dormant for so long, that its re-emergence has invigorated me with newfound tenacity. Oh, what are these words? A tenacity that I almost forgot I possessed. I too have been inspired by Clancy's boldness. Finally, there is someone that seems brave enough to lead us in some sort of uprising. I do want to be a part of this. There are so many things to fear, but perhaps my biggest fear is to do nothing. I am here, and I will go into battle. I will support the uprising in any way I can. East is up, Elliot. This is just an example of a letter where they mention how they have been inspired by Clancy and what he's been doing. So I wanted to put it out there because there are multiple letters who do that, multiple letters that mention that. And that also seems to be an ongoing theme in these letters, talking about a rebellion, talking about being inspired by Clancy, and also inviting other citizens of Dima to join the movement. Okay, next one. Dear Mara, I am and always have been a devout violist. I obey and give thanks to the glorious, like any good citizen should. This tradition is a comfort to me, and it is what I know. But I indeed have seen cracks. The bishops, our symbol of stoic control, have become frantic and for the first time, unclear and worried about what is next. Keon's meant everything to me, and it's not the same without him there. But I'm now seeing that Keon's was what I admired, not vialism. I don't even know what it means to be a vilist anymore. I see them differently. I see deception. I see rage. Your letter has confirmed some of my doubts, and has begun to ignite a new passion to destroy this construct that has deceived me for so long. You're right. The only glorious quest left is beyond these walls. Clancy has exposed cracks that I am now ready to break open. We have to act fast, before the bishops have a chance to react. I'm willing to take a risk and stand on the side of the truth. Salo, Jansen, or Jansen. I think this one's interesting because it mentions Keons. There's only a few letters that actually mention bishops by name, and this is one of them. And it's also interesting to see the relationship that Jansen or Jansen had with Keons. And that, I guess, it supports the notion a little bit that he was maybe different from other bishops because he was admired. And they admired him and not the religion itself. Okay, get ready for this one. Dear Clancy, you're what they said you were. I see the weathering on your face. I see the weathering on your face and the journey you've been on. Although we're away, I hope you know that I've never left you. It's time, Clancy. They believe in the movement. They're ready for this oppression to end. They're ready to defeat this archaic rule once and for all. We can meet out in trench and camp to lay out our plan. We'll bring you everything you need. We have support from Yellow and Red now, and our militia is strong. No matter what, when the date comes, we'll get you to the tower. Covering you, TB, Torchbearer. So this is one of the few letters we have between Clancy and Torchbearer. Oh, sorry. My alarm was going off. So this is one of the few letters we had between Clancy and Torchbearer. And it shows Torchbearer supporting Clancy. Shows that we have two sides, yellow and red, as shown by the tape, as we've probably noticed before. And it also mentions that they'll get him to the tower, which is what we've seen in Paladin Strait. It also just looks kind of terrifying, and I keep reading it as Dear Clanky because of the way it's written. Yeah. You might have noticed that there are some letters that are spelled double in these letters. And as you might have seen before, these letters then spell out a message. So when you take all of the double letters and arrange them in the order of the letters, they each have a number. You get the message, which says, we must destroy them or we'll become them. And if we become them, we must do better. So these are all of the letters from the US leg of the tour. Now let's look at some other interesting things that happened during the tour. On the 20th of August, that was the 9th show in the tour, and on the same day Blurface tweeted, we have always watched your diversions. During the same day in the show, I think this was during the Judge fan video, this restricted content label flashed. This is also the same label we saw when Paladin Strait was Paladin Strait music video was uploaded to DMA.org. When there was just a little, well, it wasn't a teaser, it was the non-complete version of the music video, and at the end this was flashing. On the same show, Tyler had a shirt. Oh, I'm stumbling over my words. Tyler's Clancy shirt, which is usually red, was black this time. And this is something that only happened 3 times throughout the whole Clancy tour, including the European and Latin American tour. September 9th, we got a little tour recap video, let's call it that, and at some point a picture of Nico flashed. October 12th was the last show of the US leg, and on the same day Blurryface tweeted this, and so the very left picture is what Blurryface tweeted. It was upside down. In the middle you can see it in the right configuration, and on the right side you can see that it's a filtered out picture from the FP exhibit. Also on the exhibit the same day, there was this letter. The enemies of the city are planning to take your city from you. We have watched their plans to come together. The sacred municipality of Dima will keep you safe. Report any unusual perimeter activity immediately. And it has writing Dear Clancy and some black fingerprints. Also the same day on the exhibit, we saw that one of the bishop's robe was falling down. So initially there are 9 bishop robes displayed, but on this day one of them fell down, likely symbolizing that Keon's died. Also on the same show, at some point, I believe it was also during the Judge fan video, picture of Dan Liston from the Scaled and Icy musical performance flashed on the screen on the show. Okay, that is the end of the US leg of the tour. Let's move out to the Latin American one. And I think I can summarize that in 2 or 3 slides. So what is interesting here is that Tyler is wearing some interesting shirts. And he's been wearing these throughout the US leg as well. But this time there's a new addition to each of these shirts. So each time he re-wore a shirt from the previous leg of the tour. For example, the one on the very left was the 13th concert of the US tour. But there is a pattern added to all of them, which corresponds to a bishop. So on the left side, the little red things, the top right, that is the raised row pattern, so the doubt one. The one next to it is the listen pattern, goner, stress out, Nico, whatever. Yeah. Here as well, that's the remaining 4. Maybe the second one, the listo one, is quite visible. What is also interesting is that he had a bunch of letters on each of these shirts. So it's not very visible on all of them, but for example, this one, it is. I said letters, but I meant numbers. The numbers, when you translate them to letters, spell out the corresponding bishop name. So this was the shirt with the heavy dirty soul pattern, and the numbers 11, 5, 15, 14, 19 spell out Keon's. There are 9 bishops, but 10 shows in the Latin American leg of the tour. And on the 10th one, they ran out of bishops. So he only had these numbers on his shirt, and those spelled out Clancy. So 9 bishop names and bishop patterns, and then the last one spells out Clancy. Okay, we're done with the Latin American leg of the tour. Now let's move on to the European one. And the European one had a similar setup to the US one, with the Bandito camp and also some more letters. And I'll once again just read out a few of them. Clancy, never forget the cries of your people. Never forget the raw fear that fueled you, or the rebels that made you who you are today. We're all one. We destroyed them so that we didn't become them. We must do better, Clancy. We must do better. TB. So here we once again have another letter from Torchbearer to Clancy. Interesting that it says never forget the raw fear, because that is one of the new songs, and I'm really curious if there's any reference to that. But if there is and you already know about it, please be quiet. No spoilers. Thank you. And this also references the message we got from the previous series of FP letters. We destroyed them so that we didn't become them. We must do better. So on that same show, that was the first show on April 7th, during the judge video, part of this letter flashed on the screen. And this is something that happened multiple times. Here we have another one that looked differently, but once again, it was a piece of the letter that flashed on the screen. And then on April 9th, we got the tour vlog. And in that vlog, we're not going to watch the whole video, but at some point, a few of these weird images or segments of a video flashed. And so the left column is what we saw, and the right column is what it references. So there was a little video of a vulture, which was the same one as in Levitate, just filtered. Then we had the banditos going through the tunnels from Nico and the Niners. And then the last one looks really, really cursed. But that is trash being seized in the outside music video. Okay, continuing with the tour. April 17th, another piece of a letter flashing on the screen. This is from Magnus, and it says, we are all one people and people striving for hope and victory, not more tyranny. Clancy must know that. Next up, we have this letter from Wenth, I don't know, which reads, Terry, I found myself reminiscing about Bishop Nils last night. A long while back, he actually rescued me from nearly falling back through a window while playing tug-of-war in class. He was there, and he caught me. I looked up at him, and the relief in his eyes that I was all right caught me so off guard. In that moment, he cared for me. He wasn't as devoid of emotion as normal. There was no tension, just care. I think about it often. Who was he before he was a bishop? He had to have been just a kid. He had to have been a kid to us at some point, right? He had to have been loose and well at some point, right? Were they born this rigid, or was it taught to them? Went. So as I mentioned, there's not that many letters actually mentioning bishops by name, so this is the other one, and it mentions Nils. What's interesting about it is that it paints him in a pretty positive light, and I think this is the first time, other than Clancy talking nicely about Keon's, that we heard something positive about the bishop. So one, it shows more of the human side, and it's also interesting because it shows something about who they were, and kind of suggests that they were not born bishops but became them, which I think is interesting to think about. Okay, get ready for this last one. TV. The crown is heavy, but I can carry it. The city needs hope, and I alone can give it to them. But the city needs to feel powerful again and snap out of the lifeless obedience they've been trapped in. I can give it to them. I gave them hope. I will be their example of absolute power. I feel alive again. Clancy. So this is the first letter we actually have from Clancy in the FE exhibit, and I would say this one is quite terrifying, because he seems like he feels unstoppable, and that is, I think, a pretty scary thought. Okay, some other interesting things from the FP exhibit. As I mentioned, in the Bandito camp, there's a tent, there's some flowers, some other interesting things. And so what happened? So what started happening at the end of the tour and the end of the FPE was that everything was taken over by black paint. You can maybe see it on the top. This was like a projection. Every city had a different one. On the top left, it's taking up part of the screen, and then it starts to take up more and more. The same thing for the Bandito tent. The beginning was a bit dirty, and then at the end it was completely covered in paint. And there is also a bunch of items I just didn't have space for in pictures that slowly were consumed by darkness. The European leg of the tour also had some interesting t-shirts. I think most of the t-shirts had some sort of imagery of something from the band's lore or some music videos or something, but for a lot of them we don't quite know what this actually meant. What is interesting is these 4 shirts that had numbers in them, and the numbers spell something out. First one says seldom surface. The second one, no kin. Third one, do you thief at home? Yes, that is not a mistake. That's what it says. And the fourth one is this really you? Here, once again, we don't really know what these are. If this is somewhere in the lyrics and you know about it, please keep your mouth shut. No spoilers. Thank you. For quite a while, people thought these would be track names, but that ended up not being the case. So that is still a mystery what these actually meant. Okay, you might have noticed here that there are some weird dots and dashes on the bottom of each of these letters. That is Morse code, yes. But they made it a little more complicated this time. So instead of just reading every individual letter, like for example, first one from Carmen to Soren is N. The second one would be I. The third one would be E. And then when you decipher all of them, it makes no sense at all. But then we figure out that when you connect the letters, so you always take the pair Carmen to Soren and Soren to Carmen, and you connect the Morse code together, that also gives you a letter. So instead of reading it as dash dot and then separately dot dot, we read it as dash dot dot dot, which is a B. And when you arrange all of the letters like this, it spells out Rage, which back then we had no idea was the new album, but now we know. So this is technically how the new album name was announced. Okay, and now we come to the last concert so far, and I think a lot of you know what's coming. First of all, Tyler wore the black Clancy shirt again. This is the 3rd time in the tour. Second of all, Tyler did some strange things with his doll, put it around his eyes, and also some other interesting gestures. And lastly, let's watch the video. And he did not take the jacket. And Torchbearer was there standing all alone, looking at Dima burning without Clancy being there. Okay. It feels kind of weird to just be like, okay, let's move on. But let's do that. After the end of the tour in May 2025, the band's logo on the website started decelerating, and the eye in the profile, the logo on the profile picture suddenly had an eye, and the eye started closing. And for those of you who have been here since the hiatus, you might know that is not a good sign. I think a lot of people thought that the band was just leaving again. But luckily for us, they are just teasing the new album. And so on May 21st, the band started, band and Blurryface, or maybe Blurryface on behalf of the band, started tweeting out and posting some interesting things. And if you notice in this amazing graphic, there's always some letters that are capital out of nowhere. And so the first tweet on the left from Blurryface, which is "Broke your confidence, hello Clancy," has some extra B's. So I think that was meant as a hint to ignore the extra letters. And then you collect all of the other letters and remove the extra ones from them. And when you unscramble it, it spells out "The Contract," which, as you all know, is the first single from the album. 8 days later, Blurryface is back with this absolutely terrifying video.
I check the doors, check the windows, then pull the blinds, pull the blinds, pull the blinds, pull the blinds, pull the blinds.
Oh, wait. Okay. I thought it.
I
No. Shh. There we go. We only need it once. And obviously, as always, he deleted it immediately. But the day after, he was back with another one. I don't think we have to watch all of them, but here's another.
check the clock. I check the clock. Wondering what he will pull this time. Wondering what he will pull this time.
Which at that time was absolutely terrifying to hear. Now we know he was just teasing the lyrics to The Contract. June 2nd, he took the weekend off. That was another one. I don't think we can. I think we can just skip through the remaining ones, but I just kept them in to keep the timeline complete. And also on June 2nd, the band posted some pictures. And all of these lyrics that we've been getting from Blurryface were there as the captions. Check the doors and pull the blinds. On June 3rd, Blurryface DM'd a fan account with this.
I want to get out there, but I don't try.
On June 5th, the band texted out some links to a video to a bunch of fans. I think it was the same system they used when they were teasing Evening with 12 Pilots, I think. And the caption was, "That's maybe how you know that my hallucination," which once again, as we now know, are lyrics, but back then I guess we had a suspicion, but it was very ominous. And then the band posted this.
But now I plead, just take the deal. I promise you.
Which is another snippet of The Contract, but with Clancy and Torchbearer and the jacket. We also got a bunch of these teasers. I don't even know how many were there. There's just one example with a countdown. Think there's anything too special. And after that, on June 12th, we got The Contract. So let's watch that. Okay. Um, as I think everyone already knows, but let me say just in case. This begins where Paladin Street ends, and then we see a lot happening in Tyler's mind, including having the jacket and not taking it. And then he wakes back up and stares into Nico's eyes, and we are still waiting to see what will happen next. Okay, let's go back to the presentation. On June 16th, we got the breach checklist. I do not have a picture here. I'm sure all of you know what it is. Right before that, Tyler teased it himself. But half of the people did not believe that that's a real checklist. But yes, it is. And then sometime in August, I don't know why I don't have the right date, but in August, on the website you can see that there was a live stream or a video premiere that everyone got a notification for, but it was pretty much immediately gone. And then a day later, we actually got the full video of that. And it's a video of Tyler and Josh setting stuff up for the drum show music video. What's interesting about it is that the license plate of the car says FPE 8553. We don't know for sure what it means, but plausible interpretation is that it is their initials. Right? Now I'm doubting myself. I think it is. And there's also a voice in the background announcing a service request. First at level 8, then level 1, and then level 8 again, which was hinting towards a drum show coming out on the 8th of August. I don't think we have to watch drum show because I'm sure all of you have seen it, and also there's nothing really lore related. Oh right, yes, okay, that's how it is their initials. If you press it on like if you have an old phone where you have all the numbers, and when you press the numbers you can get letters, then 8553 will spell out TJJD, like Tyler Joseph and Joshton. So that is the current theory of what that means. Okay, we're almost done. One last thing to share is this little this little summary from Thema that showed up in people's mailboxes. And if you remember from last session, this is not the first time that the sacred municipality of Dima has mailed out red envelopes to people. The first time was before Clancy came out, and we got a Clancy letter there, a new map of Trench, and a bunch of other stuff. And now is the second time, and we got this little notice, and I will just guide you through it. So first off, this investigative summary: incident RPT, arson, unauthorized perimeter breach, unlawful. That is not a difficult word. I should have just looked everything up before. Okay. Anyways, destruction of a car. Pursuant to municipal statute, this document constitutes the official record of an open that's a typo, of an open investigation initiated by the Office of Municipal Safety and Order under the direction of the Sacred Municipality United Violets. At approximately 2:36 LMT on the 3rd day of February 2017_moon, revised Dima calendar, municipal sensors registered a thermal disturbance grid section 9C north outside primary sector thoroughfare. On-site response unit discovered a state-issued transport vehicle, model CRN9V, type black, engulfed in sustained ignition. The vehicle's interior and exterior were rendered unrecognizable, and identifying tags were unrecoverable. Surveillance voids in the 0C quadrant suggests intentional disruption of municipal tone, an infraction and direct violation of statute 22.112b. Let's continue. Then we also have a picture of a burning car, which says Exhibit A, chain ignition, tax unrecoverable. Sure. And it also says on the right side, a preliminary incident scan has yielded subject of interest, name Clancy, citizen ID 1539864 _ that is the violation code, designation delinquent. I actually don't know what the second word says. Unaccounted. Oh, now I have no idea what that says. Something perimeter breach. And then below that, theoretical reconstruction, DMSC verified. It is the working theory of the investigative assembly that the subject of interest coerced or manipulated a DEMA authorized bishop class operator or a perimeter guard into unauthorized vehicular pass beyond the east gate threshold. At an undetermined point along track 90, the subject initiated immolation of the transport vehicle. Visual records confirm total vehicular destruction. The operator's current condition and location remain unknown. No recovery of remains have been verified. Subject Clancy was observed by triangulation data fleeing the incident site on foot towards the ungoverned territory referred to colloquially as trench. Apparently on the right side, delinquent arrest probably means resident, and then it says unaccounted for perimeter breach. Lastly, I know this is getting boring, but we're almost done. Civil notice. In accordance with DEMA law section A7703, all persons found to be in possession of knowledge regarding the whereabouts, communication, or prior contact with Clancy must immediately submit Form V14B at their assigned congregation desk. Failure to comply constitutes civil treason. Why am I missing something there? I don't know. Oh, it just split. It's from the next line. Okay. Report classification. Pending escalation. Internal Security Council review. Filed by United Violence Division of Civil Order and Restraint and Municipal Leisure 1443 Vault 7. Designated incident sentiment. All earthly honor unto the glory is gone. Let their ash mark the path of those who remain. Okay, now we're done. What's interesting about this, as you may have probably realized, this refers to the events of Heavy Dirty Soul and partly Jumpsuit, where there is Kyler on a burning car, first seen driving with someone, and then the car burns. So this is yet another kind of confirmation of him using this to escape DEMA. But here it also makes it more specific that he was with a bishop. And we don't really know what happened to the bishop based on this. Also, let me just quickly go back. Here I think it's interesting that they have the revised DEMA calendar, February 2017 _moon, which is also what they use in the letters on DMA.org. Those are also always marked with something moon. Here I messed up, but on the right side in the picture, you can see some letters highlighted. Those are letters that are printed or either printed in bold font or kind of drawn over. And when you collect all of them, it spells out the sun will rise and will try. What is also interesting is that here on this little note, Sacred Municipality of DEMA Security Division, Guard LU 2017, Elliot. If you remember the FP letters, one of the citizens that we saw there who was writing a letter was Elliot. So here he is back. This also says transmission timestamp. Is that a 9 or an 8? I think 9:12. Clancy reached Tower Summit. Bishops all drawn in distraction. Protocol active. Section quarters are cleared. Time window 0045. Escape routes open. Evacuate now. E. Yeah, I think that's it about this part. Very last. This is from 2 days ago. We have this video, and I don't think the video here actually works, but I'll try. No, it does not. Anyways, this is the last thing we got is a blurface, which looks like first view of all the bishops on the ground. And then there seems to be a little bit from the jumpsuit music video where Tyler was in water in trench. And I forgot to make the last slide, which was supposed to say thank you for your attention, but I think that is it that we have from the lore for today. I'm trying to see if I forgot something. Oh, I know I forgot something at some point when we were getting the teaser for the contract. There's something the Blurface tweeted, which was a reverse audio of the contract. I just remembered that later on, but it was too late. And yeah, it is not it. We have Breach coming out soon. So new interesting lore coming out soon, and also the Cineworld music video. So I think we're all really interested to see how that will turn out. But from what we know right now, including the leaks, that is all. So thank you all for coming to the lore school session, and also to all of you who came to multiple lore school sessions. Yes, this can be your graduation. Congrats. I hope you learned something new. And yeah, I have nothing else to tease. Well, we're doing a listening party next. We're doing a Breach listening party on Saturday. So you can join us for that. Otherwise, that is all. If you have questions, go for it. Oh, yeah, okay. Sure, there can be a thank you slide. Wait. Thanks, guys. Yeah, there we go.